Hey, that's not rubbish.
Hey, I'm Lexi, and this is That's Not Rubbish, the podcast where we talk to cool people who are turning garbage into cool things. And this episode actually marks about 1 year of That's Not Rubbish about. But I started That's Not Rubbish as I've been inspired by upcyclers' resourcefulness and the innovation for so long and just didn't feel there was entertaining media geared this way. And that's how you share something with the world, entertainment, right? So TNR's first episode launched June 24th, 2023. To all those who have been following since day zero, day 100, who cares? Thank you so much for listening and supporting these zero waste designers. This stuff is crazy, right? I'm so glad to be sharing it with you guys. And that being said, this episode will also mark the end of season 2. But fear not, we'll be back towards the end of the summer with more podcast episodes. We just need a little time to work on expanding the platform. We have some interesting projects coming up. And until then, we'll have plenty of episodes for you guys to catch up on. And we'll stay active on the socials. So follow and share with a friend if you haven't already. But as you know, it is a team of me running the platform and bringing these upcyclers to your feet every day. So please support if you can. Like I said, we have so many projects coming up. So we could really use support. If you'd like to see the upcycle community thrive and become more accessible, who wouldn't? Support. Sheen has their army and we need ours. And all the links mentioned can be found in the description, but blah, blah, blah. On to the good stuff. It's summer. And today I am sitting here with Emma Casey of Landfall Leatherworks.
Hi, Lexi.
Hey, Emma.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. You are super impressive. Emma is a world traveler. She's a sailor and an upcycler who takes pre-loved sails, yes, from boats, and turns them into these stunning high quality bags. And yeah, did I mention Emma has sailed the world, like the globe, all in one go? So we're gonna have to hear about that experience, how sailing and upcycling compare, and working with the unexpected because it's no secret you are no stranger to the uncertainty. Am I right?
Definitely. I think, yeah, that ties into the uncertainty as a sailor living aboard a boat and sort of contending with the elements and never knowing what the world and the weather's going to throw at you. And I guess that vein sort of continues into the upcycling of the bags. So,
Just life. Yeah, you're the perfect girl to talk to. Listen to your little life. Yeah, a boat. You don't talk to anyone who lives on a boat every day, you know? So we gotta soak you up while we got you. Soak up the secrets. But first, we'll do a bit of good news. You know the drill, Captain. So apparently, I don't know if this applies to you so much, but TikTok has launched their pre-loved luxury category on its channel, the TikTok shop, which does allow users to now browse and purchase secondhand luxury pieces from within the app. So let that marinate because I will say I'm not a fan of the TikTok shop by any means. I mean, talk about this dystopian consumerist society, right? Like, but if we're gonna do it, we might as well make secondhand just as mainstream too. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Is it good news? Is it a warning? Like, yeah.
I think it sounds good. I must admit I am very much a Luddite and I'm not on TikTok. I tried to
I was gonna
be,
say I don't know if
but
this applies to you. Yeah.
I got like banned off of TikTok after making 2 videos, and I can't get any in touch with anyone to fix that. And I kind of gave up on it. I don't know why. Honestly, it was just videos of me making bags, and I wonder if it had to do. Maybe I broke some rule about the music and used some.
Naughty Nautica. Well, we'll get you back on there. But no, it's good. I think it is good. Like it's nice to it's always nice to get a nod in our direction from the mainstream world, like I said, if we're gonna do it, we might as well do it too. So yeah, fingers crossed it's used genuinely. I'm just not sure how you mass sell pre-loved luxury because I assume it's vintage designer and there's no more than like 10, you know? So yeah, we'll see. And this might just be a prompt to investigate. But it could get a lot of people shopping secondhand and hip to secondhand. So fingers crossed. Always
Could be.
optimistic. Yeah, right. So thank you, Sustainable Fashion House, for the news. This is interesting and it could be huge. But yes, I did not take it that you were much of a TikToker. You're definitely like a living in the moment, off the grid, sailing, living on a boat. Yeah, so where are you based? Like how did you get into sailing and everything? Let's get into it.
So I'm in Sausalito, California now.
Nice.
Lived at the end of a dirt road, spent a lot of time frolicking in the woods as a child and building fairy houses. And went to college on the East Coast and got a liberal arts degree that I don't really know what to do with. It was in art and Spanish, so
Oh,
I guess it's somewhat applicable. But then after college, I was not ready for a career or didn't know what I would want to pursue. So I decided to hop on a sailboat and travel. And I thought that would be a cheap, interesting way to do that. So
yeah.
I hopped on a boat here in the Bay Area as like quasi crew,
Uh,
um, and headed south toward Mexico. And that the very first boat was kind of a misadventure. I actually like jumped ship in San Diego. It did not go well. It was just an older captain, and yeah, nothing really bad happened. But
that's
it
good.
was
That's good.
just time to time to switch boats. And then met a family who had 3 small children, and they were like, "Come on our boat. Let's cruise Mexico together." So ended up
See,
doing that
yeah.
for about 6 months. And then they were gonna stay in Mexico for the hurricane season, and I decided to hop on another boat and cross to French Polynesia, and just kind of continued in that vein. I think I was on a total of 4 boats between here and New Zealand over 2 just a little over 2 years, and then,
2 years.
um, I stayed in New Zealand for a while. I actually got a job at a garment factory sewing.
Yeah, Emma.
That was an interesting experience. Definitely made me not wanna work in a factory setting for long term,
No, that's
um
fair. That's fair. Oh my God, I have so many
but it's
questions.
interesting to see, like, how things are made in mass production, and I mean, it was a pretty high quality factory with, like, fair treatment of the employees, but
No, no, we will get into that. I just want to digest the traveling, sailing part of this first because that's a huge trip. I mean, it's like
well, that was just, the beginning, and
that's just
then
the iceberg. Wow. I guess you don't want any icebergs. Sorry, bad joke. Bad joke. I was a big Titanic girl. We don't mess with that. Yeah, yeah.
I've sailed for another 4 years from there, and yeah, almost circumnavigated, not quite, was about 1,000 miles shy, but
That's the word, circumnavigate. Well, at 1,000 miles, I'll give it to you. You know, once you've done that many, what's 1,000 more? We'll give it to you. We'll add it to the resume. But even then, like that is so cool. Yeah, that is the word I was looking for. But I guess you're right. I guess it does kind of depend on where you live. Like you grew up by the coast, it was more accessible. But was this really just like you just got on a sailboat after graduation, never had really taken like a course or gotten your license or like join a rowing club? I don't know what the path is, but was that
yeah,
kind of just the first
definitely
step?
no licensing. I had sailed my grandpa had a boat here when I was a kid,
Okay,
and
cool.
we also had a high school sailing team, that I was
Okay.
part of for a bit, but I wasn't very good at it then.
Okay, so you're certified. You that's cool.
But I was so naive though. I was very naive.
Well, it's a good way to learn to just jump in and explore. I will always encourage graduates or students of any means to take on traveling. I do have a question. I heard that at night, like everything is pitch black. That's freaky. Didn't that freak you out? Like when you're at sea at night, pitch black. Can't even see your hand in front of your eyes.
It's funny. I think, when people hear that I lived on a boat for so many years, and it was a small boat. This was like
Yeah.
the last 4 years were just me and my boyfriend on a 40-foot boat together. And people are either like, wow, that sounds amazing, or they say, oh my God, that sounds absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the idea of being, this tiny speck in the middle of the ocean. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think it's magical and unique. And these days, it's really hard to be that removed from society. And I found that thrilling and peaceful. And I really loved the long passages because
Yeah.
you can't go anywhere. You literally are stuck on a tiny boat.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go. There's no one to be. We didn't have connection to the outside world.
No.
So there's no I felt like I almost started to forget that the rest of the world even existed when you're on longer crossings, when it's been 3 weeks at sea, or yeah, at 25 days you're out there, and it's it's wonderful.
I
It's
bet.
just time slows down. It's like you live by the sun and the weather, and um, you just have time to read, write, draw, stare at the horizon,
What else you gonna do?
talk,
Yeah.
talk, cook.
Oh, I hear you. I'm a traveler myself in the simple life, and there's no greater experiences that I've had in my life either than traveling and just meeting new people and working at different hostels and everything. So I hear you, but you are a stronger woman than I. Like I would go crazy. But I do like sharks. I love them. Fun fact. And only like 5% of the ocean has been discovered, right?
Yeah, that always blows my mind that we know more about space than we do about our own ocean.
Dude, and I've been hearing that stat for like 10 years now. Like, we think we'd at least gone up to 6% by now, you know? I've been hearing that stat for a good 10 years. We need to do better. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe people just find the allure of space is, like, sexier and more intriguing, but I don't know. The depths of the sea, who knows what's down there?
Well, who wants it? I don't think we even want to know at this point. What we've seen is enough. Yeah. Those megalodons. Have you had any crazy altercations with any sea creatures and stuff?
Um, Nothing crazy. I mean, great interactions with dolphins and whales, and I love diving. Free diving is so meditative for me, and that's probably what I miss most about living on a boat, is being able to be in the water
You just jump
often.
in the water in the middle of the ocean?
No, that's not a very good idea.
No, I didn't want to say anything, but you seem to really enjoy it, so
I mean, I have, but only if it's dead flat calm, which the ocean does do, which also surprises people, is that the weather patterns are such where there's sections where you can have absolutely no wind for
yeah.
days sometimes, and it's the surface of the ocean is glass. And so then, yes, I have swam, and it's a little bit unnerving. Um, it's a different color. It's this color of blue that I don't even know how to describe. It's almost purplish blue, and you look down, and it's thousands of feet deep, and the light rays just disappear into this one point, and you think that's when your brain goes like, maybe there are
No.
megalodons.
If they'd be anywhere, that's where they would be. You're right.
Yeah.
That does sound beautiful though, Nye, right? You had really, really beautiful experiences living on a boat and just seeing the water at different times of day and having it to yourself. Oh, I hate beaches with a lot of people. But You ever see anything out there you want to talk about? This is a safe place, all right? Freaky stuff happens out there.
No. Some weird flotsam, like some weird kind of things drifting by once in a while that you can't really tell what they are, but
That'd be fun,
mm,
upcycling the fun things that you see that are just floating past you in the middle of the ocean. Another
sometimes there's a
side.
lot of trash, unfortunately, like the currents. I've never seen the Great Pacific Garbage Patch or anything that's, that they describe as like football fields of trash all in one place. But
That's good.
I've definitely been in places where like the currents are collecting a lot of trash and you're seeing flip-flops and water bottles, and a lot of times the roller balls from deodorant, like
Yeah.
those are always like those are the kind of things that drift by.
Whoa, how random. Have we just like not figured out what to do with that specific thing? I mean, let's just figure it out then, no?
And then there's so many beaches on remote islands that are just heaps of trash.
Wow, you can really
It's
get an up close view of all that. You get the front row seat.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of places, the tourist destinations, they keep it clean and they don't want people to see that side of things. So, I mean, it does depend on currents and tides, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of places where the high tide line is just littered with flip flops, plastic bags, plastic bottles.
Yeah, people got to be a little more cautious when they're on vacation. I know it's like a time of like getting away, like out of touch with life and kind of a little bit of access, like you're eating a little better, you're gaining a little weight on vacation. And yeah, we got to keep in mind that everything we do always has a consequence, even on vacation. So, what's the craziest thing you've seen floating by?
Oh, I don't know.
No, I guess just the quantity more than quality. Yeah,
Yeah. But
sure.
it does make you think, it's like, oh man, we really need to get away from single use plastics and we need to start upcycling more.
Knock, knock. I'm at your door. Time is now. Well, I agree. And but well, okay. Like I said, I've also traveled, so I know that you learn so much from these experiences. And I mean, look where sailing has brought you, turned into something really special. So, what are some highs and lows of that trip? Like any learning lessons we can apply to everyday life or zero waste life?
Well, we definitely were minimalist in a lot of ways. I mean, living on a boat, you don't have very much space. So
You're happy.
you realize you don't need that much.
Yeah.
I think we're very used to owning a lot of things, and the American dream of having a big house that you fill with more things. And um, yeah, so I think it's sort of a pared down, distilled reality where your priorities are rearranged in a healthy way.
Uh-huh.
Um, it can also be like something that was challenging was it can be lonely, and you're pretty isolated, and you pull into a bay and there might be other boats anchored there and you quickly befriend people, but then you might spend a week with these people and you get to know them pretty well, um, but then they leave or you leave, and it's like, okay, maybe we'll see you in the next bay down the coast, or maybe we'll see you in 2 years in another country, or
Yeah.
maybe we'll never see you again. And so I think while it is a community, it's also isolating, and it's hard being, I mean, for people's relationships, like being with my partner in a small space for 4 years, we cohabitated super well together, but then it's like one person's not meant to be your everything.
Right. They
You
can't.
need
Yeah.
no, and humans need community, and I think we really thrive in community. So it made me miss my family, and it made me sort of crave permanence, and
Yes.
the transient gets a bit old, but now that I'm trying, like, experimenting with permanence, I'm this is the longest I've lived anywhere as an adult, and it's only been a
Yeah. No, that is extremely relatable. I think that's a part people don't talk about enough because when you're traveling, you only really talk about the good stuff, right? And solo traveling is really rewarding. Like you learn so much about yourself and because you're testing
Yeah.
yourself out of your comfort zone, you're seeing sides of you that you wouldn't usually see. And I know like as much as you love your best friend or your sister, brother, mother, you don't know it's your rawest form. Like you do things and say things that you wouldn't do in front of the people that know you best. So all of that aside, um, when you're traveling and you're having all these beautiful experiences, you do learn that there in the end of the day, life is about experiencing these things with other people. And while you feel so rich in friendships, they're always just friends that you're not with every day because they're in places all around the world and you only met them for a little while and they're doing their thing and you're doing yours. And even if you're in their city, they might not even be in their city. And while you think you're gonna meet up, you don't. So I have so many relationships like that, and it has made me cherish the things that I do have. And I think the biggest thing is that I think it's so much worth investing time and energy into the relationships that we have and the materials that we have because we are so much happier with nothing. So that's my rant piece of decoding what you just said. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
I
can't
agree.
stress enough to people that haven't left their hometown or country or continent to please do that for you, for me, for me, for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think just also in terms of exposing yourself to different cultures, different ways of life, and realizing that fundamentally we are all very much the same. And
Yeah. We're
yeah,
human, right? Yeah. I mean, it's good to be raw and everything, and it's cool to be grateful for what we have because we are lucky girls, this mindset in daily life of not caring, little responsibility, adventure, and just no expectations is so freeing and beautiful. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about this idea of no expectations, of working with the unexpected, because I can imagine this is a major theme in both sailing, traveling, and upcycling.
yeah. I mean, I think it can be very challenging not to have expectations.
I know. That's something that I definitely
Yeah,
struggle with.
I think it's healthier for sure, but it's hard. Um, but I think in the upcycling side of this, I love that, the no expectations part. I am
Yeah,
able to do that, and in my personal life, it's a little more challenging, but, yeah, in terms of upcycling, you're working with materials that you don't know what you're gonna find. I get a new sail. Oh, so the sails have a working lifespan on a boat, and that can range in terms of how they're being used. So the kind of sailing that I was doing, we would maybe get like 8 to 12 years out of our sails and would repair them, but they're synthetic fabric, but they break down eventually from salt, sun, water. Just it's super destructive environment out
yeah,
there.
sure. Yeah.
So the sails start to break down. We would repair them, restitch them if they ripped, and reinforce them. But the modern racing community treats things a little differently, and they retire their sails all the time. A sail might only go in one race and get thrown away.
You're lying.
Not kidding. I mean, occasionally they blow out, they're pushing the sails to their maximum, trying to eke out every tenth of a knot that they can, but they might only use them for one race, 5 races, 1 season of sailing. Um,
Ooh, I didn't know this. I did kind of think of like the nautical universe kind of romanticized wear and tear and just kind of the nitty-gritty of it. But yeah, I guess when it's a sport, you don't want to like mess with all that. You want to win. So okay.
and it's overall an incredibly expensive sport, and I don't really know much about the race world, but, I
No,
mean,
but it sounded like what you were saying was that when that I mean sailing you're facing so much of the unexpected and it's kind of like I mean you make the most of it. It's not what you want, but you make the most of it. But then when it comes to upcycling, that's something that you actually like about it is the unexpected. So it's interesting.
right. Yeah, because I think you don't know. Well, there's sort of this like romantic idea of like where the sale has been and what it has done in its life, and so you roll one out, and every single sale is different. They're all custom made for each boat, and so you're going to end up with unexpected features, unexpected hardware, um, sometimes little windows, telltales, which are these fun little strings that show you whether your sail is trimmed properly. Um, the hardware, like hanks, which are these on the older sails, like solid bronze clips, and yeah, they have all of these sort of unexpected features to work with, and I love that in terms of that inspiring or forcing me maybe to be
Yeah.
more creative versus
Yeah.
if I were to make a bag out of a brand new bolt of fabric, I would know I would be able to predict exactly what that fabric was gonna look like when I unspool it.
Boring. No, that's true. No, I like what you're saying. I do because I think you talk to a lot of upcyclers that work with clothing and they go thrift store to look for the stains and the tears and stuff to make it a fun challenge. Because I mean, upcycling really is the most fun challenge. So it's cool that you're embracing it and I bet that influences the creative process a lot. So cool. And a lot of
Definitely.
people, usually people run away from that. So we need people to clean up after us. But
Yeah, and it also, I think, keeps it more interesting for me too, where
totally.
the unpredictability is not monotonous. And um, but I just want to say that sailcloth, whether it's Dacron, which are the white ones that you typically see, or like modern racing boats are using super high tech fabrics that are
Right.
carbon fiber laminates and Kevlar laminates. So they're so strong, very expensive.
Ooh.
And so these are getting thrown away, and they're super lightweight. They're, like I said, so strong. Basically, you can't rip them. I have to use special Kevlar scissors to cut them.
Yeah.
And they hold their shape really well. They're water resistant. It's a phenomenal material that has so many applications. And I feel like I'm only scratching the surface.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit. No, that's great. I mean, unrealistic expectations can sometimes hinder our creative process. They can elevate it, they can enhance it, they can ruin it. So, I mean, I was going to ask you if there were ever situations that you kind of have run into where your expectations didn't align with reality or what you wanted, but it sounds like you're owning it. It sounds like you're making the best of it, and that's what upcyclers do.
Mm.
But sure,
But it's
I
all
guess yeah. Feel free
it's
to dig deeper on any other advice on taking the unexpected and absolutely owning it. Yeah.
I think just in terms of the business, I didn't have business experience, but
Mhm.
I kind of went into it with a what's the worst thing that could happen mentality of,
That's a good one to have.
let's try this thing, and if it doesn't work, then I'll switch and I'll, pursue something else. But it's so gratifying, and it's a lot. I mean, I'm wearing a lot of hats doing all aspects of the business, and I think some of it is now begs the question of like, okay, what should I outsource, or can I keep doing everything myself, or should I outsource the things that I don't like or the things that maybe I'm not as good at?
Yeah.
And I kind of struggle internally with social media as like such a powerful tool for small businesses now, but I also find it kind of soul sucking, and I don't enjoy spending a ton of time on it, but it works. Like, but it's been so fun exploring all those different things, learning about marketing, learning how to build a website.
You're lying. It's
Yeah, and
okay. It's a good attitude to have, but it's overwhelming as a business owner to have to do it all. You don't even have to lie to yourself for real. No, I studied advertising and I saw this funny meme like about a year ago, and it was like born to create art forced to create content, or it's like made made to create art, forced to make content.
Yeah.
And it's so like reflective of the shift our society has made with social media. So yeah, well said. Well said. But going back to your traveling side, I mean, how have your journeys influenced your perspective on sustainability and upcycling and your whole approach to running your business?
I think seeing a lot of the world does
Hmm.
kind of scare me, environmentally speaking. And what I'm doing is, I mean, this feels minimal. I mean, it is something. It is taking something that was going to be thrown away and repurposing it. But I mean, I think cities are always the most like glaring thing for me, especially in poorer countries where, you see it's kind of humanity at its worst, where there are too many people living in a small area and resources are thin, and um, just systems for dealing with trash are not effective,
Oh,
and
100%.
yeah, trash is getting burned in piles on the side of the road. And
Oh my God, if they're even dealing with it at all, I think we take a lot of that for granted. I mean, having waste infrastructure is a huge part of society, and especially a well-developed society. I've been to my fair share of, I guess, third world countries as well. And I was in Ecuador last winter, and I was so bothered by like all the trash that I saw on the beach, because it's a beautiful place, beautiful people. Felt they deserve so much more, that I like fully like WhatsApped the president of this tiny village with like 50 people. And I was like, we got to talk. Like, we got to set up some kind of like trash system here. Like, I will help you out. It did not work. It did not end up happening, but I can definitely understand just being kind of enraged, or just being called to make the change if no one else is going to, just because we can't, and we can, or at least we
yeah,
want.
I'm afraid though that, I mean, humans in general seem incredibly slow to act, and we don't
Yeah,
really act until it's like an absolute, utter, atrocious disaster
for
or
real.
something.
What up with that? What up with that?
And yeah, we seem to, I think a lot of people have blinders on, and people don't want to change their lifestyles. People don't want to stop driving their cars.
Yeah,
But I also think, most of this is not really on an individual level. Like, this is corporate, this is political,
yeah,
and but I think it's worth it for everybody to, yeah, use their voice. And
totally. Do what you can. Do what you can. And yeah, I mean, again, pros and cons of traveling and seeing how other people live is, you might not always love it. You might not always love it. But
yeah.
I mean, another highlight, we'll keep things positive here. Another highlight of traveling is being exposed to so much diversity, the different styles, foods, cultures. So, how have the different countries or cities you've explored influenced your pieces creatively?
Maybe not each bag in a physical way, but I think my story is very much tied to my branding, and I I love to write, and I kept a lot of journals during my sailing years, and drawings too. So
Yeah.
my journals are full of drawings and full of anecdotes from all these places, and I've tried to weave that into Landfall, and all of my, I don't know, like my cards are all, oh,
Cool.
I should do it over here.
Yeah.
Are all like drawings from my journals and my tags, and I've been, trying to bring some of that into the Instagram as well, and make it not just about like buy this thing, because
Right.
that feels, I don't know, that feels belittling. And I
Yeah.
think tying the adventure into it, tying the notion of these bags having already like lived a life of adventure, and sharing some of my stories and experiences and drawings from those sailing years.
That is a really special twist on sharing a part of yourself and putting a bit of yourself into every, I guess, order. That's really cool. I love it. I want a piece. Yeah, that's great. And okay, I can't wait any longer. So please tell us how all of this comes together and share the moment, I guess, where you decided to start turning sales into bags.
Right. So when I
Right.
stopped sailing, I kind of had this identity crisis of who am I if I'm not doing this anymore, because I had spent essentially the entirety of my adulthood
Uh-huh.
living that lifestyle. And it took me a year of sort of floundering around. I actually moved to Mexico City for a year and was pretty untethered, but I think I settled back on like I want to do something that's creative. I want to do something that's challenging. I love tangible work. So I think my favorite kinds of work are where you have like a physical result of your labor
Yeah.
and something to show for it. I feel like I have friends that I don't even understand what their jobs are. They work at
Yeah,
a
no,
desk.
for real.
I don't know what do they. I don't get it, but I know they're working hard.
At least you know what you're doing. You're turning sales into bags, baby. And I mean, what are the pros and cons of working with sales? It has to bring up some challenges, being such a unique material.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get some that are maybe parts of them are unusable. You have to definitely cut them up into pieces, clean them. Um,
Yeah.
some of them are so stiff. Like I have to have a really heavy duty industrial sewing machine. I have a Dirkop Adler German machine, and
Ooh, rare.
on it's tough on your hands. It can be like physically somewhat strenuous. And then the leather working tools. Um, but yeah, I think I had played around with using sailcloth on one of my long passages, from my first long crossing, actually from Mexico to the Marquesas. We had some scraps of a sail, and I made a little backpack by hand sewing it.
Ooh,
I mean, I had plenty of time,
yeah.
and that was it was beautiful. And I actually used kind of traditional marlin spike seamanship things, which are like very old school sailorly, where you're doing rope work and splicing and like making rope grommets and things. And it's definitely that bag is like a work of art. And I don't, that is not maybe a financially viable business model to make things, that hand done. But it was fun. And I think so I'm sort of spinning off of that into like, okay, how can I actually make these bags in a timely fashion that will actually hopefully earn me a living, but still keep some of those um, traditional elements involved.
Well, cannot imagine how durable the bags are. I mean, sails are built to withstand the sea. Like we said, the sea is
Yeah.
no joke. How do you get your hands on these sails? I just picture you like on the shore, barefoot, jeans rolled up, looking for seashells. But that has to be so backwards. Like these things are big. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them, well, they vary in size greatly depending on the size of the boat. But so far, people around here have heard about what I'm doing, and they email me, call me, say, "Hey, I've got some sales for you." And they would just much rather see them made into something than throw them away. And there've been some people that, they're like, "Yeah, I've had these in my garage for years and I haven't just couldn't bring myself to throw them away."
Oh,
So,
Seaman called. He wants his. No, I'm so sorry. I had to. No, that's great. I mean, that's definitely handy being that girl, like the the sail to bag girl of it. It's network. Go you.
I also, yeah, there are definitely things that I want to make that aren't bags, and I just haven't gotten there yet. I do have a project a friend and I are collaborating on that
Spill. What are we looking out for?
lighting.
Lighting. Like home decor
Lighting.
or turning
Lamp shades and things, but
cool.
it diffuses light beautifully and
Made out of sails still.
mhm,
Wow,
yeah.
very nice. I would love to. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of in its infancy, but I'm also it's fun to, like, because I work alone all the time, the idea of collaborating with someone else, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, please, I
Yeah, I
need
know
that."
for
It's yeah.
for real.
And just, like, creatively to bounce ideas off of somebody. It's hard when you're the one making every decision day in and day out,
No, and
so
it's hard to like,
yeah.
read people's minds. Like, how do you know what people want if you don't have multiple perspectives? Multiple perspectives and diversity are always they make the world go round, as we've learned while traveling. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right. I guess closing thoughts. Given your insane experiences and challenges while sailing, upcycling, and adulting, do you have any final bits of advice you want us to linger on?
I guess I think we just need more of this. I think that, sales are
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I think it's really great that you're doing this podcast as well to sort of bring together these upcyclers in disparate corners of the world, and um, yeah, I think there's so much room for more in this field, and I love that you're working toward elevating it because I think that's also something that I'm trying to do. I don't think that, you know, old used materials do not need to be like innately lower quality or of less value.
No, no, and thank you so much. I'm blushing. No, I think it's great. I really think that you're so talented and I love what you do. And I think there are so many people out there doing similar things and just turning like these like so many like this to that, so many before and after, so many crazy transformations, giving like the things around us a second chance that deserve a second chance. And we gotta highlight them and bring you guys together. I mean, I'm almost scared to see what's gonna happen if all of you guys get together, but I'll risk it. I'll risk it. Well, this was a lot of fun. Great chat and great way to kickstart the summer. And I mean, keep up the traveling. And yeah, it was a great way to end the season of That's Not Rubbish. Thanks a million for coming on and sharing your stories, your sourcing, your secrets. Did you have such a good time? Would you love to be stuck on a boat with me for months at a time?
I think it would be pretty entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, we would have
I've
a good time.
Yeah, and you made this very seamless and not daunting.
I'm glad. Oh, I like that. That's good for an upcycler to stay seamless.
Definitely never podcast before, so that's not a verb, is it? I've
We can make it one. We can make it. You know, when I'm traveling and I tell people that I have a podcast, like foreign people, they're like, that is so American.